Good morning and welcome to the Morning Outlook. I'm James Preston reporting live from Sydney for Kalkine TV. In this show we provide you all the information you'll need to know for the day's trading, including the global overnight market watch, how trading fared on home soil in the past 24 hours and the day's major headlines. Let's start with a quick roundup of yesterday, and it was an encouraging end to a challenging month for the Australian market, with the ASX 200 surging by 1.88%. While this was the strongest lift of the year for local stocks, it followed losses of 2.5% over the prior two sessions. The ASX 200 slumped 2.69% in September, officially ending the longest monthly winning streak in 78 years. Australian shares are expected to give away most of the previous session's gains to open the day lower on the last day of the week. According to the latest SPI futures, the ASX 200 is expected to open 119 points or 1.6% lower on Friday, taking cues from an overnight sell-off on Wall Street. The local copper miners are likely to weigh further on domestic shares as prices fell due to a stronger US dollar and power constraints in China. On Thursday, the domestic benchmark index climbed by 1.9 billion. A number of Australian companies will also be paying their latest dividends to shareholders on Friday. Monadelphous Group, Origin Energy, Pro Medicus and Treasury Wine Estates are some of the major names doing so. Time now for a very quick break before we take a look at the top stories of the day and turn our attention to overseas markets. Hi there, James Preston for Kalkine TV. Are you into gaming and virtual reality? Does AI and the endless possibilities it entails capture your interest? Or are you constantly trawling through the web to try and discover the latest updates and innovations in the tech space? Well, let us do the work for you. From the latest product launches to shocking affairs on the World Wide Web, exclusive interviews and information about the top companies like Apple and Google to brand new tech startups vying for your attention. Kalkine's Tech Beat has the latest in what matters in the world of technology. Join me every single Thursday on The Tech Beat, exclusive to Kalkine TV. Welcome back to Kalkine TV. I'm James Preston and this is the Morning Outlook, where we give you all the latest information to ensure a successful day of trading. Just before we take a look at news from global markets, let's run through the top stories of the day. The former president of France, Nicolas Sarkozy, has been convicted and sentenced to a year of house arrest for illegal campaign financing of his unsuccessful 2012 re-election campaign. The 66-year-old, who served as president between 2007 and 2012, was found guilty in a Paris court on Thursday of spending tens of millions of euros more on his campaign than was permitted under the law. Sarkozy will serve his one-year sentence via the use of an electronic monitoring bracelet and in the process will avoid actual jail time. Sarkozy spent an enormous 42.8 million euros on his re-election campaign, almost double the legal limit of 22.5 million euros. The enormous overspend was primarily due to his decision to host several US-style rallies, which cost millions apiece. Prosecutors said the former president of the UMP party tried to hide the cost by hiring a PR firm called Big Malian to invoice the party itself and not the campaign. The court stated that Sarkozy knew weeks before the 2012 election that the legal limit was at stake and voluntarily failed to supervise additional expenses, with prosecutors accusing him of having ignored two notes from his accountants warning about the money issue. 13 other defendants were also accused of campaign fraud-related issues. The deputy director of the campaign received the harshest ruling, a 3-year sentence including 1 year of actual prison time. It's also not the first time Sarkozy has been in the crosshairs of prosecutors. 6 months ago, he was found guilty of corruption and influence peddling in another case and sentenced to 1 year in prison and 2 years suspended, becoming the first former French president to be handed out a prison term that includes time with no remission. The outcome of that conviction is yet to be applied, though, as an appeal has forced its suspension. And McClarty Range Investments, a mining and exploration company, is facing a slew of legal challenges following what director Peter Kestel believes to be the biggest copper find since World War II. The incredible find was made near Western Australia's Horizontal Falls tourism attraction, but conservationists allege that the illegal land clearing was involved. Mr. Kestel said he had all the necessary permits required for the clearing on mining tenements held by another company, Kim & Co Pty Limited, as well as approvals from the Dambi Mangari native title holders. The Department of Water and Environmental Regulation is now investigating the matter. Let's now take a look at global markets, beginning with America. In US data, the economy grew at a 6.7% annual rate in the June quarter. New claims for unemployment insurance rose to 362,000 in the past week. The Chicago Purchasing Managers Index also fell to 64.7 throughout September. European share markets eased on Thursday, featuring a solid 2% lift in the mining sector, balanced with a 2.2% fall in the travel and leisure sector. Reuters reported that British online fashion retailer Boohoo tumbled by 15.1% as it warned that freight inflation and higher wages for its distribution centre workers would impact full-year profit margins. And we'll just go to a very short break here whilst we sort out a few technical issues. Stay with us.
Hi, I'm Sage, and get ready to take the crypto ride with me on Kalkine TV. Watch the Crypto Buzz every Tuesday and join the excitement at Kalkine TV. From Bitcoins to NFTs to Dogecoin and DeFi, we have updates about everything around these digital currencies. Understand the investing rationale and the risks involved in the space with me, Sage, on Crypto Buzz. Keep watching Kalkine TV.
Welcome back, and apologies for the disruption, but let's now continue with the morning outlook. European share markets eased on Thursday, featuring a solid 2% lift in the mining sector, balanced with a 2.2% fall in the travel and leisure sector. Reuters reported that British online fashion retailer Boohoo tumbled 15.1% as it warned that freight inflation and higher wages for its distribution centre workers would impact full-year profit margins. The Pan-European Stock 600 index also fell by 0.1% to end the month down by 3.4%. And the UK FTSE index eased by 0.3%. In London trade, shares in Rio Tinto rose by 1.9% and shares in BHP rose by 1.4%. US share markets fell again on Thursday. Investors tracked efforts to avoid a government shutdown, mixed economic data, as well as testimony from the Federal Reserve Chair and US Treasury Secretary. The Dow Jones sold off 300 points in the last hour of trading. The Dow Jones index fell by 1.6% and the S&P 500 index lost 1.2%, while the Nasdaq fell by 0.4%. Over September, the Dow fell by 4.3%, the S&P 500 lost 4.8%, and the Nasdaq fell by 5.3%. Over the September quarter, the Dow fell by 1.9%, and the 500 rose 0.2%, and the Nasdaq fell by 0.4%. US longer-term Treasury prices rose on Thursday as traders backed budget talks and reacted to mixed economic data. US 10-year yields fell by 2 points to near 1.51%, and US 2-year yields were down by 0.28%. Major currencies were mixed against the US dollar in European and US trade. The euro was near $1 at the US close. The Aussie dollar was near 72.25 cents, and the Japanese yen rose from 112.05 yen per US dollar to 111.32 and was near 111.3 at the US close. Global oil prices ended mixed on Thursday, but off the day's lows after China indicated it was prepared to buy more oil and energy supplies. The Brent crude price fell by 0.2%, and the US NYMEX crude price rose by 0.3%. Earlier, both benchmarks had been down by over $1 a barrel US. Base metal prices fell on Thursday by between 1.7 and 4.2%, with lead down the most and tin also encouraging similar traction. The gold futures price rose by $34 and 10 cents an ounce, or 2%. Spot gold was trading near US $1,756 an ounce at the US close. Iron ore rose by $3.45 per tonne, or 3%. And today, local copper miners are likely to weigh further on domestic shares as prices fell due to a stronger US dollar and power constraints in China. And on Thursday, the domestic benchmark index climbed by 1.9 billion. Well, that's all for our morning outlook report here on Kalkine TV. Have a great day trading and stay tuned for more market updates and economic news live throughout the day. This is James Preston signing off for now.